Hey, what's going on? It's Arfan with the Successful Lead Generating Coaches Show. And I'm back with another episode today. I have just been really packed in March with a bunch of really big launches, some high ticket launches, some pretty high ad spend. We've done multiple six figures in ad spend just in March alone. And so I'm excited about today's episode because I always try to share information that's going to help you to get better results with your ads. And one thing that's really come, especially since I've been doing these bigger launches and things like that, is really just say, how good is your marketing? And what I mean by that is that, if you're running marketing and if you're doing it yourself or you have an agency or something like that, what I mean by this is like, for example, how can you be able to tell that you're good at marketing, or if you have someone working with you that they're a good marketer, and how good is your copy, your messaging and things like that. So now here's the thing, you know, over the years I've spent hundreds of thousands, honestly, between Jojo and I to invest into programs, coaching. But not only that, the biggest thing's always been books and reading different things from some of the greats, Dan Kennedy, some of the older, those who paved the way before us, that did direct response advertising and marketing. And one thing that's really come up a lot is, I've worked with clients. Sometimes I'm doing a launch and I look at their stuff. I'm like, man, this just was not good, right? And it's like, well, what do you mean it's not good? Well, I'm trying to break it down. I'm like, well, the copy, the angle, the messaging, all these things are kind of off, meaning that they don't align really well. The call to action isn't very strong, and we can see this evident sometimes. I look at an account and um, one of the stats that you see is the cost per link click and the link click percentage. And when I can say a copy is not strong, I can have factual evidence of being able to go into the ads manager, see that, hey, you've had your click through rate percentage is below 1%, meaning that out of everyone that's clicking your ad, only 0.5 or less are clicking. It's a low click through rate for the link click. It's just like that's your copy. The call to action is not strong because anyone that's going to read your copy, whether it's the image on the text on the graphic or the words you're saying in the video or what you're writing inside of your actual post description, isn't really urging them to click next to actually get that, to take you up on an offer. So it's not really strong. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've seen, a lot. Is like, again, it's like what really makes a good ad, or how do I know if this is a good offer, or what's going to make this to market good? And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, how do you, just before even running it as an ad, what do you look at before even running it as an offer? What are you really looking at to know if that this is a good direct response, if the marketing is good, the messaging is good? And one of the interesting thing is that, you know, obviously we want to split test, right? Let's say you have worked with a copywriter in a previous year and you're relaunching, you're not really getting the results, you're working with someone different. And so be able to split test that, right? Especially if you've never worked with them before, you're not sure, like, hey, well, what's your training? Have what's your experience like? And if you're not looking at examples, which you should be looking at examples and testimonials and things like that, you want to be able to look and see if it follows a good formula, if it's convincing, if the headlines and the sub headlines are all really strong and compelling. Like it really targets the ideal client's pain points, not just the surface level, not the fluff stuff that sounds good, but like deep into what they're actually walking around and thinking. Because what what happens to a lot of good business owners is that they're trying to get things done for the cheapest possible price, and sometimes that comes at a consequence of also working with somebody who doesn't have the necessary skills to help them be successful. And what ends up happening is that launches don't go really well. Conversions don't happen despite an advertiser's best effort to get as much leads as possible. The back end starts falling apart on these things, right? So you want to be able to make sure that the marketing looks good. And when you look at the from the beginning to the end, you want to you know you want to get people who are going to be able to know you, like you, and trust you. Because one thing that's true is that every time you run an ad, especially to a cold audience, especially with Facebook, most of the time you're gonna come across people that, you know, you're gonna get people who don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you to buy. Not because they're mean or they don't, for any other reason except that they just coming across you, and for them to be able to do this consistently, and especially for you to be able to do this at scale. Some of our clients were doing six figure just for their webinar and a live launch, and in order to get to that level you have to be pretty confident that the people on your team, the marketing you have, is working out pretty good. Okay, so you really want to kind of get an idea of what this really is going to look like, and make sure that everything is really from the front to the back, like everything, all the boxes are checked, meaning that like your pages are addressing pain points. They're showing people that it's possible to get a transformation. They're seeing testimonials, and you're giving them a clear options, because the truth is that Facebook, paid ads, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever, whatever platform you're advertising on, ads, they don't give a crap about you. You know what I mean? There's no feeling exactly, the ad has like, oh, I want to perform because it's you. No, it's like, no, it's the audience is going to determine how that performs, and they're going to determine how it performs based off of them, based off of their needs, their wants, not anything about you at all. So that comes off harsh. It's just one of those things where it's like the ads don't care if you've worked a whole year to put this together or not, right? So it's one of those things where the messaging really, really matters. And if your marketing isn't strong enough, you're not going to win. You're not going to get really strong conversions when it matters the most. And what I mean by that is that me and my team, we could do a great job on getting ads up, generating you tons of leads, super cheap, dollar lead, $2 leads, people are showing up. You get a 50% show up rate on the webinar. But if it all falls apart, no one of that audience is going to convert. Okay. Um, and the other thing is too, a lot of times we look, it's like, well, I've done this organically, and I've gotten some pretty good traction. This page is converting at like 50% organically. And while we want to be like, okay, well, that's great. Now we can just take this and just add gasoline and move in ads. The thing is that, that trust that you built with your organic audience, when you go into a cold audience, you're starting from scratch again. Okay, that organic audience have encountered you many, many times, and their resistance, their how they got to know you, how they got to like you, and how they got to trust you is much different than when someone comes in totally cold and you are starting from scratch. So when you are looking and you say, okay, I need to convince strangers to pull out their wallet or their their mobile pay and buy something from me, we have to look and see, all right, how was this done in the past? And when you didn't have the opportunity to switch something on the whim, to make a change and make a decision on the whim. So, for example, in print advertising, when they were going to put something out in a magazine or send a letter in the mail or something like that, you only had that one shot, so it had to be pretty damn impressive, in order to really convert. And that's where some of these guys have developed these skills, and now we have it so much easier because we can leverage AI, we can research a lot quicker, our copywriting ability is far increased, but so much so that the competition is also increased, and also people are aware of that, like they're more in tune to, hey, is this really going to help me or not? Is it really put together? So we want to look and say, all right, let's see what other people have done in the past and how can we leverage that to our advertising. And one thing that's always been done is that we always look at it from the back to the front, especially when it's advertising, because when I go into it, I want to know what is the actual end goal. Where do we want people to go? And then we move back to, okay, well, how do we now attract the right person who's at the correct level of awareness, so when they enter our world, they can now take us up on that offer, whether they're purchasing something directly in like a self-liquidating offer, a free training, or whatever the case is. We want to make sure that process is really mapped out. Speaking of like a direct offer, it can take a while to dial in a low ticket funnel. So if you want to get really serious about it and say, okay, I want to have a low ticket funnel and convert this really, really awesome, it can take 3 to 6 months to really dial it in. When I say really dial it in, yes, you may get the initial lead generation down. the cost per lead may be great. People are coming in, the conversion rate is awesome. When you look at the dial in, so we look at the actual offer that we have, the tripwire, the upsell, downsell, the second upsell, the second downsell, and if you have something else along the way that they do once they go in there, right? So it can take about 3 to 6 months to dial that in to where now people are signing up and you're getting a 5 to 10% or so conversion rate on your initial self-liquidating the offer you put out, and then you're getting a good percentage of people who are taking you up on the order bump and the upsells. And it takes some adjustment, it takes some tweaking to really lock that in, to really solidify it. I want to move that. So I have a client where the actual offer was selling pretty good, but when it came to the order bump, there was a small percentage. I mean, it was only like 10% of people that was taking us up on this order bump, and it was priced at a point where it was, you know, in past cases it was like 30% of people, 40% of people. So we're like, oh, after about a good 30 to 40 people purchased this offer, I ended up having to make some serious changes to that order bump, and ended up getting it to a much higher conversion rate, which was actually 55% conversion rate on that, which is amazing. It's one of the highest order bump conversions that the client has ever had. But it just shows you got to change things up and you got to tweak it. But in order to get that from initially starting to run the ad to making that tweak, it was about, it was a few weeks in between that. And the reason why is because it takes some time to, first analyze the results, to even make a decision on what are you going to change, to get someone to change it. And the faster you are at doing these changes, the more quicker you're going to be able to. There's a reason why it takes 3 to 6 months. Someone could do it in 3 months or less because they're much more quicker at, like, they're spending a higher budget maybe, and then they're quicker at dialing things in, meaning making adjustments when it's necessary, paying attention to what levers need to be pulled, and not just saying, oh, my lead generation is good, I'm just going to set and forget about it and hope it all works out pretty good. They're looking at it. And then, from the 6 months and beyond, that's where you start making it profitable. Start looking at, okay, how are my people now converting after they've been in my world for a good few months? And in order for that to become super profitable, that's where you start seeing the skill, you start seeing the copyright and the messaging, you start understanding your audience and what they want. And really, it all boils down to that beginning, to the ads. And really, honestly, what's relevant right now, what's really happening right now, is that you have to be able to make good ad creatives. Things that's going to stop someone's scroll, is going to resonate with them at a deep emotional and personal level. And it's also going to give them an offer that's going to help them. It's going to fix a problem and solve a solution. That's what makes these offers convert. If it's something that we're like, oh, I really want to sell this because I think it's going to help, we want to make sure that it's positioned to help. That we know for sure that there's a clear outcome after someone joins your program or takes you up on, if it's a ebook or a guide or a mini course or whatever the case is, that there's a specific outcome they're going to get on that. Because when you're running advertising, in order to be able to break even, right, you have to be able to look and make sure the offer is really, really great alignment. And if you are like, hey, I want to be very serious about this, I want to be able to make sure my ads are breaking even, I want to be able to scale to the point where I'm at, I'm not just spending the lowest amount possible, but I'm spending 100, 2, 3, 5, $1,000 a day, and we're really cranking and we're really scaling. Some of these things have become even more and more important. So if you are looking at going into, if you have a campaign starting to run, take some time to analyze it from the back to the front, from the front to the back, to make sure that these pieces are in place. And take some time to leverage some of the systems available, like AI, or even maybe get some one-on-one support with someone like me who can actually take a look at it, to be able to see from a marketer's perspective, like, hey, does this meet the rules and the check boxes that a direct response marketer would be looking at? Okay. So with that being said, I hope this has been helpful to you, especially if you have a campaign coming up, you've got a promotion coming up, you have something that you're working on, and you're like, hey, I want to make sure I get the most success. Every dollar I put back in, I want to make sure I get at least $1 back out or more. This is where it starts. It really starts paying attention to the entire messaging, the angles there, and that it makes sense throughout the entire process. So And this has been helpful to you. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, the YouTube channel, share this with someone too as well. And if you're looking for more hands-on support, if you're interested in being able to make your ads work a lot better for you, our Ads Conquer Pro membership is open. So if you need more hands-on support to where you don't want to do it alone, but you want to be able to do it, be in charge of it, but also make sure you have expert guidance. That's available right now. Just go to arfanhussein.com/join ACP. And enrollment's always open. You can always join. And we have calls every Wednesday. You have access to all the trainings, the community area to ask any questions you want. But if that's a good fit for you, I look forward to seeing you there. And with that being said, we'll catch you on the next episode. Have a great one, everyone. Bye bye.